Don't look back in there.
Page that are shaming this security guard. This security guard, as far as I'm concerned, did absolutely nothing wrong. I put up a video on our. Did you see the video I put up on our page a couple of weeks ago? I don't know if anybody saw it, and if you saw it, it's still there. But I was in my local Dunn's on a Friday night at about 8 o'clock a couple of weeks ago. I had to pick up some milk and went into Dunn's, and it was fairly quiet at this stage. And there was a security guard there, and there was two little runts in the shop, I'd say about 8 or 9. And they were standing beside the fish counter in Dunn's, and they were, the fish counter is full of ice. And they were literally with their hands scooping out the ice and fecking it all over the aisles. Literally standing there with impunity. Nobody was stopping them. Little fucks, the two of them, just standing there scooping out the ice and throwing it all over the aisle. The security guard was down the end, was doing very little about it. And I told them to stop. I said, will you stop? Someone's going to trip on that. Get out of the bloody shop. And I went down to the security guard and said, can you get them out of the can you actually pick those little shits up and throw them out of the shop? And he says, I can't do that. So obviously, I don't know, I'm not a security guard. There's obviously been a directive given to security guards that they cannot lay a hand on. So basically,
I was gonna go to sleep. I was that bored. I was just bored. So I was gonna go up there and go text me saying I'm going back to bed for a while. So I said, fuck it. Roll a joint, have a coffee and fucking man up. So that's what I'm doing. Good morning to everybody.
These two little shits that were in my local shop literally knew that they could go in there, throw the ice off the fish counter all over the ground, wreck the place, and that nobody was going to lay a finger on them, and that is wrong.
Where this guy that Joanne is talking about, the security guard in the store that she works in, which is on the south side of Dublin.
He should be given a pay rise. He should be given
a pay rise for dragging the young fellas by the scruff, basically.
Otherwise, what is the point in having security if a security guard cannot remove somebody who's causing a disturbance? And I can only hear the mother. And by the way, if you're listening, can we name where the shop is?
It's on the south side. That's enough.
If that mother is listening who went down, I can literally hear the conversation now.
You put your hands on my Jordan, I'm going to fucking sue you. Words to that effect.
I have photographs on that. I'm going to put that up, you farting bastard. Because no doubt she brought the race into the security guard is an Irish, by the way. Not that that's relevant, but I'm sure that was brought up as well. So she's one of these typical mothers who thinks that her little angels did nothing wrong and wants a payout because the security guard...
Okay, but the question here is, should security guards be allowed to manhandle teenagers out of a shop?
Why is that even a question? Yes, they should.
No, but I'm asking the question, should they be allowed to? A lot of people say no.
Who are these people?
You should not we got a message just before the podcast started from Johnner, who's basically saying, no, you never, ever, ever lay your hands on kids. And that's what these are. The young fellas with the fish that you're talking about.
Who are even younger, by the way. They were about 8 or 9, I'd say, those kids.
And you want a big burly security guard to go and grab the two of them and throw them out?
150%. And it's this easy approach that people have taken now in the world where you can't lay your hands. I know when we were kids, if we had done that in the shop, in our local, but we wouldn't have done it because we would have got a clatter across the head by the shopkeeper. And to suggest that what is the point in paying security in Dunn's or Tesco's? What is the point? What is the point in having a security guard
if you can't manhandle kids?
No, don't use the word manhandling because
that's what it is.
No, it's not manhandling.
Grabbing somebody by the scruff and fucking them out the door is manhandling
You're
them.
changing the language of what happened to suit your agenda.
Our security guard grabbed the two of them and fucked them out of the shop. Grabbed the two of them
by their jackets.
Okay?
Yeah.
She said, I saw it happen. He just grabbed them by their jackets and dragged them out of the shop. Like, dragged them. Listen to the words she's even using.
I'm delighted with the words. Those words are brilliant because that's what they deserved. Teenagers these days just think they can get away. You can't touch me. You can't. I can hear them now. You can't fucking put your hands on me. He did what he was paid to do.
Our number is 085 825 2626 if you would like to get involved in this conversation. We would love to hear from you. Let's kick off with...
Morning, Jerry. I wonder, is it still a kip or has it got better? I don't know. Good morning, everyone. ETV, Hammy, Jordan. We've got Jolene's in there. What's the point in this live is to talk to people about living, not taking their own life. So here we are. A minute, guys.
This WhatsApp voice note that has just come into us.
What is he supposed to do? Give them a high five and say, "Oh yeah, lads, go ahead." It wouldn't be a security guard then, would it? Like a guard, as in a police, and a security guard, no matter which type.
Someone's trying to spam me. Someone's trying to spam me, lad. Yeah. Someone's trying to spam me, lad.
Their hands on them. And it's not like he's physically hit them. He literally dragged them out. And in my opinion, it is allowed. And he done nothing wrong here. Because what is he supposed to do? Give them a cuddle? No, not on. He dragged them out and he did the right thing. Fair play to him.
Now, just going back to that message from Ed, Ed was saying they have the right to lay their hands on kids. They don't.
Oh, I think they do. Why should teenagers be able to go into a shop and just wreck the place and not be taken out of the shop?
Dylan,
No, answer the question. This lefty approach by, you can't touch anybody, you can't touch anybody. You go into
I'm not even necessarily saying that, okay? But I'm asking, should they have the right to manhandle kids out of a shop? We're talking about children here. Call the guards if they have to, if the young fellas are carrying on. Dylan, you're on Opinions Matter. How are you, Dylan?
How are we, guys?
Good, thanks, Dylan. What did you want to say on this?
Well, the security guard didn't do anything wrong from what you were saying. The lads were causing a disturbance, throwing stuff off the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the security guard was in the right to physically remove them from the shop. I doubt he just ran up and grabbed them by the jacket and turfed them out on their ear. He would have went over, told them, lads, stop, get out. They would have probably turned around and went, fuck off.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they did. I'm sure that's exactly what they said.
Hurled a shit ton of abuse, which is synonymous in security. And he said, you know what? Come here, get out. You're not coming back in. Because at the end of the day, once they're in, they're an issue. Once you get them out that door, you just have to stop them getting back in it. I've worked in security for 9 years, and the level of abuse security guards get
I can only imagine.
What's the worst thing that's happened to you at the hands of? Let's just talk about teenagers for a moment, because that's what we're talking about. What's the worst?
Well, with teenagers, I've had a young fella follow me home. I was working in Temple Bar doing the doors, so it'd be a different type of security than what we're talking about today. But I was working on the doors in Temple Bar. I had a group of young fellas come up. 2 of them were underage, and I refused the whole group because they weren't really the type of clientele that would be invited into the bar. And hanging around, constantly trying to get in throughout the night. Oh, he's not coming in. And no, lads, I've refused. These aren't coming in. Had one of them pull a knife on me, had to get the guards down. He was later on arrested, brought to court. You had a rough childhood, this, that and the other, the usual. Okay, slap on the wrist, off you go. For pulling a blade in a public space.
That's unbelievable now, I have to say.
Yep.
But let me go back to... so you're obviously a badge-wearing security man. In other words, you've gone through training and you're...
Yes, I'm a licensed security guard.
That's the word I was looking for. You're a licensed security guard, which all of the guys in supermarkets would be as well. For that license, do you go through training? I assume you do.
No.
There
is no training. You go on, you do a course which goes over the legislation, and then at the end of it, you do a written report, and based on your performance through, on your knowledge of the legislation that you've learned, you either pass or fail the course. And then you're issued with a PSA competency cert that you then go to the private security agency, and then you request a license application form. You pay your fee, which depends on what type of security you're going into and you've done the course for, because there is different types. There's retail, which is the one that I assume we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. And then there's the door supervisor, which would be the likes of hotels, bars, restaurants, nightclubs.
What we would traditionally know as bouncers, basically.
Precisely, yeah.
Okay. So, this guy, do you believe that he actually does have the legal right to physically drag somebody out of a store?
Yeah.
By law,
Absolutely.
he's entitled to do that.
Yeah,
And
because he is there doing a job. His job is to protect the store and the customers of that store. If they're causing a disturbance, throwing stuff around, if a customer gets hit by something that they throw, let's say they're throwing stuff over the shelves, and that comes down on an elderly woman that's in doing her weekly shop, what happens then? The old woman had an accident in the shop. They're probably going to sue the shop for the accident that happened.
okay, so you see nothing wrong at all with this security guard dragging the two young fellas out of the store. You think that's perfectly okay, and then
Perfectly okay, as long as it's reasonable force. And
Okay.
that's the key word that needs to be remembered by everyone in this conversation today. Reasonable force. He didn't grab them by the scruff of the neck. He didn't put them in a headlock. He didn't pick them up
No.
and physically throw them. He grabbed them by the jacket and escorted them out of the shop, off the premises. Once he crosses the threshold of the front door of the shop, it's the guard's problem. Inside the shop is his problem. Outside, if they continue, get the guards down.
Okay, so this security guard did nothing wrong until the mother arrived, took his photograph and published his photograph online for manhandling her child. And she's threatening to sue.
He's not a child, by the way.
He is a child. He's 15.
16, 16 years of age and able to go into a shop and wreak havoc. That's not a child.
But it is a child.
Well, if I was in his shoes at the minute and someone was screaming about their little angle and bringing me to court, I'd be like, do you know what, love? Go for it. Because then what I'll do is I'll countersue you for defamation and false allegations
Well,
and
so-
putting me up all over social media.
Well, some of the comments I've seen underneath one particular post with this fella, which is people making all sorts of allegation against him, which, by the way, people just make up. We've had some of the shit that's been said about us online. And you're right, she should exactly, he should sue them for some of the comments that are being made about him. All he did was his job. That's all he did.
Exactly.
And it's no different nature. And a guard is able to grab a teenager for teenagers involved in antisocial behaviour. What's the difference between a guard doing it and a security guard doing it?
Well, this mother obviously believes there's something really wrong with
Yeah,
it.
but she also believes that Darden is a little angel and wasn't doing anything in the shop.
Martin, you're on Opinions Matter. How are you, Martin?
Good lad, thanks for having me on again.
What did you want to say on this, Martin?
Yeah, I think that security guard was dead right. If they were acting the bollock out with them, I'm sure he didn't just walk up to them and grab them. I'm sure it was lads, calm down. They probably told him to fuck off or gave him some sort of smart remark and carried on. So yeah, he was dead right. And the mother, proper fucking scumbag, if you ask me. The only reason a parent should be going down there is to make the kids apologise to the security guard and the manager for acting the bollocks. So
Instead of
that's my thoughts on it, lad.
storming into the place and threatening to sue him and taking his photograph.
Yeah, like she knows that young fella is no angel, like, I'm sure. You know, it's just rodeo. That's what happens when you have scum breeding scum.
I've no
right?
doubt, though, that this young fella came home and told his lovely mammy that I was just walking around the shop and the security guard grabbed me and threw me out. And
Well, she's more fucking gullible for believing it.
so you think a security guard is well within his rights to manhandle young fellas and literally physically throw them out of the store?
Yeah, but like your other caller said there, with reasonable force. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, he has the right to defend himself. Like, if he was escorting them out and one of them threw him a box, I suppose he's well within his rights to hit them back. You know, self-defense. You know, don't go hitting them. But if he was escorting them out and one of them went to hit him a box, he'd be well within his right to hit them. Child or no child, like a 15-year-old could be fucking 6 foot. Do you know what I mean? They could be as strong as nearly any man.
Okay, well, stay there for a second, Martin, because in just a moment I'm going to be speaking to a guy who believes that nobody should ever put their hands on any child in any way.
And that the security guard in question, which I think is ridiculous, that the security guard should be charged with assault. Like, we really having this conversation. That security guard should be charged with assault. Who did he assault?
The child. Because he physically put his hands on the child.
Oh, my God.
Eddie!
Oh yeah, lads, good topic. As you know, I work security, but I don't do retail. I wouldn't do retail for fucking all the tea in China. It is like babysitting all day long. And the fucking stories that the lads tell me, because I have friends that do it. But here's the deal. These little runts, they know the law. They know for a fact that all the security guard is a visual deterrent. Even if he sees somebody robbing something, right? He's only allowed to approach them when they go past the last point of payment. And then all he can say is, empty your pockets. And all they have to say is, no. He's not allowed to detain them. He's not allowed to lay a hand on them, because that's classed as assault. And they just walk along their merry way. Now, most people, like, obey the law, so when you see the security guard, they adhere to what he says. Little runts, they don't give a shit. They know they can't be
I was just sitting on the sofa, guys, doom scrolling for an hour. There's a bit of housework needs to be done and all that. She's out getting her hair done. The kids are going away for the weekend, so I'm not in the mood to do anything, really. Need to figure out where I'm going to pick up from. I'm not getting paid till Monday, guys. I thought I was getting paid today at 4. Not getting paid till Monday, you know. So, you know, I to be honest, I get bored of talking sometimes. I do get a little bit bored, you know. Aztec, how are you? I got your missed call, bro. Now, my phone went dead is what I mean. My phone went dead. And I'm charging for 2 hours, like. And because I've lost the fucking super fast charger. But I was going to go up to bed. I was just sitting there and I was like, fucking not in the mood to do anything. And I said, fuck it. Roll a joint. Listen to the radio. Play a bit of the guitar. Jolene's in there. 100%. The kids are not here this weekend. The kids are not here from 4 o'clock onwards, like so. You know, I'm free and I'll be up early tomorrow if you're going out tomorrow. Anything later on tonight, whatever. Absolutely. I'm just gonna play the radio for a little minute, guys. Just something different. That's all. Rab, I see you in there.
watched, and that's the problem.
It's the Opinions Matter podcast with Adrian Kennedy and Jeremy Dixon. A podcast from Ireland with a difference.
John, you're on Opinions Matter. How are you, John?
How you doing, guys? How are you?
Good, thanks, John. What did you want to say on this?
Well, Eddie got there before me, and he's at the taking the wind down my sail, because I was just about to say the same what Eddie said. The law is the law. You don't anybody, you know, and it's a fact. I don't care who they are, what they are, the little fuck that is, that you are. You don't put your hands on anybody, whether they're kids.
Okay, but according to Dylan, the security guard, they're entitled to put their hands on people.
Dylan is wrong. He should be stripped of his license straight away. You know, he's very wrong, and he's very wrong in thinking that he can actually put his hands on somebody. You know, only if he's being attacked he can put his hands on somebody. I'm very surprised at Dylan actually that he's at the saying these things, because Dylan quite knows, and I know the PSA, I know everything about it. You know, I was a security guard a long time ago. You do not put your hands on anybody. You don't, unless they are attacking you or they're attacking somebody in the shop. Then you have a right to actually, apprehend that person.
Okay, so how was the security guard meant to get these young fellas out if it wasn't?
Call the guards.
Call the guards.
That's unfortunately what has to be done.
Because
if you put your hands on these people,
as we saw, it was possible for the security guard to physically drag them out of the store, which is what he did, without wasting any guard of time.
Well, here's the thing, you see. Then you see what you have is the mother there that happens, or the father coming around, and he box the heads off the security guard, and then there's murder altogether. This can blow up very fast, Adrian and Jeremy. This can happen in a
Okay, so you're saying that so these young fellas are running up and down the aisles, one of them pulling stuff off the shelf onto the floor, and you're saying that the security guard should have picked up the phone, called the local Garda station and said,
that's the only powers they have.
So what's his job then? Just sitting there looking pretty?
As what Eddie said.
This is what I mean, Jerry. This radio station are very left. We know that. They're trying to blame the fucking housing crisis on people for not paying their rent. All this stuff. But it's just, I think it's interesting because it gets people going,
They are an eyeball deterrent. They're always security's there. They're watching me. They're what that's it. Eddie said it. Eddie got everything that I had to say.
So just let scumbags be scumbags. That's what
here's the thing, Jeremy. You call them what you like at the end of it, but the fact of the matter is, you cannot physically fucking touch them. Because if you do, and if you end up in a brawl with one of them and you're on the ground, that's a whole different kettle of fish. You're going to end up in big shit. Your license will be taken. You could be done for assault.
Okay, but so you believe...
sorry, hang on a second. We have to be very clear about this. There was no assault committed yesterday in that shop. No assault.
Well, you dragged him out. He dragged him out.
No,
you know, he shouldn't have touched him. He should not have touched him.
There was no assault carried out in that shop yesterday.
What's he doing with his hands on them? What's he doing with his hands on them? He should never have touched the people.
Martin, what do you say to this? That this security guard had absolutely no right whatsoever to put his hands on these children. What he did is assault.
Well, Joe, to the letter of the law, it probably is assault. But as a law lecturer said to me one time, the law is an act. But morally, I think he should be well within his rights to do it. Legally, the law is the law, but morally, he should be able to.
It's not the law, and they are not given, just because you have a PSA license, you are not permitted to put your hands on someone unless you're under attack or someone else is under attack, and then you can apprehend that person or put them onto the floor and wait for the guardian. But the fact of the matter is, you cannot manhandle anybody, kids, adults, it doesn't matter who they are. You are not allowed to touch them. You know, you can tell them to leave the premises ASAP, and if you don't leave the premises, we're going to call the cops. That's the way it works, and that's the way it is across the board. Nobody's superior to this. Nobody has. I don't know what the last guy was saying. I really don't. I'm baffled with where he was coming from. That he was saying that, oh, you can do this, you can do that, and I'm a security. No, you can't. No, you fucking can't. You cannot.
And you also believe that they shouldn't be allowed to either.
No, because I do believe that this couldn't. The law was that you could touch them. You know, look, everybody takes the piss. The Gardaí even take the piss. I've seen videos there of Gardaí punching people around. You know, this.
So hang on a second.
Sorry, okay, I'm only.
How long are you going to wait for the cop to turn up?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is...
Hang on. Okay, this instance that happened that we're talking about now with these two 15-year-olds who were pulling things off the shelves, probably breaking things off the shelves.
Shouldn't have been, Jeremy. I get that.
It would have taken probably 45 minutes to an hour for because I know
probably longer.
I know where that shop is. The local guard station will be the one down there.
Yeah, it's a fair distance
probably
away,
about 40 minutes for the guards. So you think they should just be allowed to wreak havoc in the shop, damage goods, and wait for the guards to come on?
I understand. It sounds stupid, but the fact of the matter is, that's it then, that you see what they've done is they're barred and they'll never be allowed in the shop again.
Oh God, they're barred.
That's it. That's it. All you can do.
If they get a conviction, they get squashed then once they're 18, so they can just do what they fucking want.
I didn't make the laws.
I know, but the law is an ass.
It's the law. That is the law.
The mentality is to do what they want.
But let's not let them do what they want. As I said, if they are attacking anybody or attacking you, you can put them on the ground. But the fact of the matter is, what I'm saying is, the law of the land is the law of the land. They still are classed as kids, Jeremy, at the end of the day, and you cannot physically touch them. It's as simple as that. It is what it is.
Okay, so again, John, I'm going to ask, how does a security guard get these little brats out of the shop? How?
That's it. Just walk them out, and that's it.
What do you mean walk them out?
Again, get the cops, wherever it may be. I don't know. I've seen many occasions here, and I've seen people being thrown out of shopping centres, and there's a bunch of security guards. There's 4 or 5 of them, and they're walking them out. That's exactly what I said. They're walking them out towards the exit.
So you go over to the lads. You say, lads, I'm throwing you out of the shop. Will you please walk this way?
Leave the shop immediately, or I'm calling the cops. And that's it. That's all you can do. That's all you're licensed to do.
And if they refuse, you have to wait 45 minutes for the guards to come.
Unfortunately, that's the way it is.
These people are getting paid fucking £18 an hour to do that. It's like that in UK now. The security guards just let them rob. It used to be anything under £200, wasn't it? Or was it £200? Under £200 or anything under £1,000. Oh, fucking no, they changed it now. Fucking fly, swear. Irish guys, what's happening? Welcome in, Nicole. It was. Everyone has been saying it was good, they enjoyed it. This fucking fly won't leave me alone, man. Just keeps landing on me. Oh, hold on. Just playing around. Get the fuck up. Ah, you dickhead. Suck one, mate. Yeah, good afternoon, exactly. It's not morning anymore. Anyway, just listen to the radio. Yeah, it was a great chat. We're going to do it more. I'm free all weekend. You know. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Oh, my fucking back. Oh, my fucking back. Yes, people. I wasn't going to do a long dive. Anyway, as I said, I was going to hit the nest, and I said, fuck it, I'll have one more do before I get in the shower.
That's it. Yes, that's it.
And you think that's the way it should be?
Well, look, I don't want anybody putting their hands on anybody, you know, because as I said to you, this will actually turn very physical very, very quickly. If somebody puts their hand on somebody, and as I said to you, the mothers, the fathers, the grandfathers, they'll all be around and they'll break the place up, or break the security guard up, and then we have a big fucking problem here then. That's the problem. So the only thing is not to touch anybody, and you can't be accused of anybody, Jen. You see, here's the thing, Jeremy, now you have to understand. If he hadn't grabbed them by the scruff, as it's called, if he hadn't grabbed them, if he had just said, listen lads, you're gone, you're barracks, I'm calling the cops now. She's on the phone to them, she's up hitting the alarm.
I see you there. Oh, there you are. I thought, oh, lovely. So I'll stick to the radio there. Nice and wet. Thank you.
By your little
warrants on CCTV, wrecking the gas.
The fact of the matter is, Jeff, you're not allowed to touch them, and that's the law. That's the law of the land.
Yeah,
and if you touch them, it doesn't matter. If they're throwing a bit of 50, a euro stock or a couple of euros of stock around.
Let them drink.
No. What I'm saying. It should never happen. But what's happening here now is the bigger picture. You know, he's being done for assault. There's people coming to the shop. You've touched my angel, as you said. You've done this. You've done. You know, you should never have touched him. And now we have and everything. Fuck. Matter is, he could have avoided all this. I know it's stupid. Now the shop walked, and now the shop called the cops. I don't know what he's going to do.
Because they're going to walk willingly. They know.
It's a game of cops, really. You know, you can't say that. Yes, and you can't. I always said this. You can't, don't touch nobody.
Same type of people who broke and have 500 convictions under their belt.
I've always been told this. I just want to say this, Jess, and I said this to Adrian and Shay. I've always been told by my father, grown up, and you know, all through our lives, we have a big family. Never touch nobody until they touch you. We were always told that. Never, ever touch anybody until they touch you. And then you have every right then to do what you want then. You know, the fact of the matter is, it still stands with this guy. Don't touch you. It's just, it is what it is.
You don't work the shop, but you don't let the security guard.
It's the guard's problem, Jess. It's not the security guard's problem, then. I know we have to. That we call the guards.
45 minutes, we wait an hour, 2 hours.
It doesn't matter. We all know that. That's the law. I know you're all angry. You know
you can shovel off your whole.
Well, here's the thing, man. If you think for one, security guards can go around and baiting kids and pushing them out, punching them, or whatever. I don't know what you're saying, but it's not possible. You can't do it. It's not allowed. It's not on. You know, it's just.
I'm going around in circles with you. You're not getting it. I'm going around in circles with you. You're not getting it.
It's not that I'm not getting it. You don't get it. They're not allowed to put their hands on you.
What you're saying? Fair play to the security guard doing his job. Wow.
Look, listen. It's the law, Jess. That's the thing. It's the law. You don't put your hands on someone unless you. Where it is. I didn't write them, as I said.
Yeah, but you break them, don't you?
Well, the local laws are there to be broken. I always said it. But the fact of the matter is, the kids didn't start on them. They didn't start on Jeff. They didn't start punching it off him. They didn't attack him.
So let the little throat wreck the shop. Is that what you're saying? Well,
I'm not. You're saying that. You're trying to put the word. I'm saying to you, you should have called.
Did you just say the law just financially broken? Did you hear that as well? Did you two hear that as well?
Throw the soccer down, I said, throw the soccer down. They didn't touch him.
No, they didn't touch him. No, I know they didn't. They didn't cause him any harm at all. And the bottom line is, Jess, that they're not meant to, security are not meant to put their hands on people. They're meant to walk them out the door. Or call the guards.
Yeah, because little scroats and thieves are going to walk out willingly. We'll just stop it. Any scroat or thief or anything like that deserves to be flung out and get a size 12 up the backside while you're at it.
Do you don't believe that this security guard did anything wrong at all?
No, I say build a bus to that man.
Do me a favour, stay on the line there for 1 second if you can, please. Our number is 085 825 2626. We have more of your calls in just 1 moment.
Opinions Matter. With Adrian Kennedy and Jeremy Dixon. A daily podcast from Ireland about opinions.
Ed, you're on Opinions Matter. How are you, Ed?
Hi, lads. How are you?
Good, Ed. What did you want to say on this?
Well, I am annoyed, but I'm trying to be as calm as possible. John really needs to get his shit together, as we were saying the last time. Get your shit together. Basically, what he was saying, and I'm going to start off with his favorite phrase, the fact of the matter. Well, the fact of the matter is, John, if you're still listening, he was allowed to drag them out. He was allowed to defend himself. What if they were to turn around to tell him to fuck off? What was he supposed to do?
And I'm sure they probably did.
Yeah, well then what was he supposed? And he's saying, "Oh, call the guards." Well, which one would be fastest? Him dragging them out and get them to leave the shop, or calling the guards and wait for them to arrive? Which one would be the fastest?
Okay, but as John said, he is not meant to manhandle children.
Children, 15. You're not really a law, you're a child, but you're not really a child if you're being that much of an asshole.
Okay, so you believe that this security guard has the right to put his hands on teenagers and physically drag them out of the shop?
Absolutely. He didn't hit them, he just dragged them out. And there was no evidence of bruises or anything like that, so absolutely 100%.
Well, now, sorry, we don't know if there's any evidence of bruises. We're not at liberty to say whether or not there was bruises on them. But
he didn't hit them. He didn't hit them, so...
No, I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't see how this is considered assault, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Neither do I, Jeremy. I agree.
Like, how is it assault, Adrian?
Putting your hands on somebody in any way, shape, or form is assault.
So if I literally touch your shoulder, I've assaulted you. No, it's not assault.
Okay, if you grab me by the scruff,
it's not.
That's it. That is.
How is all? I stood on dog shit. So there's dog poo here where I smoke. Small bit of it, and I've no shoes. I can't find my sliders. So I'm just gonna sit here and finish this, and then I'm gonna have it clean that, and then have a show. Christine, I hope you're well. I hope you have a great weekend.
Assault.
It's not grievous bodily harm or anything like that.
Nobody said it was grievous bodily harm. The fact of the matter is, the security guard should not be putting his hands on anybody. That's it. End of story. Should not be putting his hands on anybody, and that's what this mother is annoyed about. And a lot of people think this mother is right to be annoyed.
I've seen security at gigs a lot of the time, escorting people who won't.
Escorting people, not dragging them. Escorting them, and that's what this security guard should have done. Escorted them off the premises.
But like, if they were to kick him or whatever, or hit them, like, I mean, he did escorted them, but in a different way. No, I still agree that he was 100% right to do it.
Okay, stay there for a second, Ed, because I've Eddie on the other line. Eddie, you're on Opinions Matter. How are you?
Good afternoon, chaps.
Well, Eddie, what do you want to say on this?
Oh, I'm getting really angry here at the likes of this Ed that's on, that Jess that's on. The law is the fucking law. Yes, we all know that the security guard should be able to just fucking drag them with the ear hole and throw them out. But once he does that, the law is in favour of the little fucking scrote, right? All he is a visual deterrent, right? Like I said in my voice note earlier, even if someone is stealing, you have to wait until they cross that last point of payment and at the threshold of the shop, and then you stop them and say, can you empty your pockets? If they turn around you and say, no, and walk on, there's nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing you can do. You're not allowed to touch them. You're not allowed to detain them. All you can do is write a report, time, date, description of the person, ring the police, and if you're lucky, they might turn up 24 hours later. It's a fucking thankless job, retail. The grief they get. And this is why there's such a high turnover in the retail industry, security guards, because they don't get any help. The laws all need change. And these little scrotes know this. And everyone's coming on going, oh, yeah, you should slap them, you should do this. It's the fucking law, lads. You're not allowed to lay a finger on them. What aren't you fucking understanding?
And, Ed, I'm just reading here. We were looking up the rules, and one of our listeners sent this in to us, and it says, in Ireland, security guards can use reasonable force in certain situations, but they generally cannot touch or detain you without proper justification. Their powers are limited, and they should not exceed the force necessary to ensure safety or prevent a crime. In other words, they really shouldn't be putting their hands on anybody.
Well, then maybe it was a reasonable force. Just the other caller said a few hours ago, like a while ago there, like he was working as a security guard, so maybe it was a reasonable force. We don't know.
This is why you see fellas with 400 convictions, because they know the fucking law is in their favour.
And yeah, I agree. And these young fellas probably know exactly that. They know that the law is on their side. They know that this security guard can't do anything. Like the story Jeremy told about the kids with the throwing the ice on the floor. The security guard didn't even get up out of his seat because he knew it was nothing he knew.
And not only that, right? The law's not in his favour. But when, say he did fucking throw the kid out and the parent came down and all of a sudden makes a complaint to his company, he'd lose his job. And now he's out of fucking employment. All the laws are in favour of the scrote.
Okay, well, hang on there for a second. I want to go to Grace. You're on Opinions Matter. How are you, Grace?
Not too bad, how are you?
Good, thanks, Grace. What did you want to say on this? Was this security guard right to say, for example, the young fellas carry on running around? He should have gone over to them and said, and walk them to the door. Shouldn't really be putting hands on anybody.
Well, that would be what everybody would do. I think if somebody was causing mayhem anywhere, you would say, look, can you leave? And if they refuse to leave, what are you supposed to do?
What are you supposed to do? Wait for the guards.
Yes, as I said, all you are is a visual deterrent. They fucking finger on them. Love it where, but how the law works, and if you do, then you're open to prosecution. You're a visual deterrent. You're told to say certain keywords and try to de-escalate the situation and walk them out. If they don't do any of that, your only recourse is to call the guards, and they won't turn up for a little fucking money. It's hopeless.
I personally feel the people responsible here are the parents. I mean, the fact that they would have the audacity to go down and threaten the security guard when it was their kids that were given shit in the first place makes me laugh. Take the kids home, whatever way you want to discipline them or do that, but don't go down and say you're going to sue the security guard for putting your child was the one in the wrong leg.
Yeah, scum breeds scum. I guarantee 20 years prior it was the fucking parents that were down there tormenting the poor security guard.
But the reality of it is that young fella probably went home to Mammy and said, I was just walking around the shop and the security guard came over and he dragged out of the shop. I'm sure that's exactly what the young fella said. And Mammy said, I'm not having this.
If I had done that when I was younger, my mother would have hit me first and questions later.
Yep, yeah, and most of us when we were younger. So you think that security guards should be able to physically manhandle somebody out of a shop if necessary?
100%. Why would you be wasting guard time to come down to remove two 15-year-olds who are not, well, I'm assuming they weren't a physical threat to the security guard if he didn't feel afraid to remove them. So why would you waste the guard time if you can do a job yourself and put them in?
All right, Grace, thanks very much indeed for your call, and thank you all of you for your calls. The bottom line is security guards, whether we would like them to have the power or not, they don't really have, and you can see from that message that was sent in to us, in Ireland, security guards...
Right, well, I was only going to do a quick little live, and then I stood in dog shit, so I want to fucking clean the garden quick, shower, come down here, sweep out the shed, blah blah blah, pick up the kids. So I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. It sounds cheesy, but why wouldn't we want why wouldn't we want someone to have a wonderful afternoon? What more is there than just to have a good time? So I hope what you're a bear at your man, okay. Yeah, that's called the tool. That's what that's for. That's why I don't have a human brain. Fuck you. Right, anyway, I'll catch you all later. I'll see you all soon. I don't know when. I know there's lots of us going live now over the next few hours and days, so there's lots to keep us company and to join in on, you know. So good. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Goodbye. See you later.